Are you alone in the woods, hungry and afraid, and you need to make yourself a fishing rod so that you can get something to eat? Did a buddy ask you to come out ice fishing, and you guys have known each other for a while, but you haven't really gotten close enough to cross that "I'm willing to spend $50 on your hobby just so that we can hang out" level of friendship yet? Well, you're in luck, because today I'm going to break down for you how to make a primitive fishing rod, or what we call here a tickle stick. So without further ado, let's get straight into it. To get started making your tickle stick, you're going to need to find 3 pieces of wood. One to form the handle, a piece about 5 inches long to make 2 pegs, and you're also going to need a long piece to form the main structure of your rod. For the handle, it doesn't really matter what type of wood you use, just find a piece that fits your hand well. And for the main rod, I personally like to use something that has a bit more spring to it, like maple or birch. We're going to start by removing the foliage from our rod section. Go ahead and give it a little spring test to make sure it bends back to shape. And then we're going to start removing the bark from our handle section. This is arguably the most fun part of the build, and you get to do a little bit of manly carrot peeling. Once that's done, we're going to sharpen each side of the pegs. Now it's a little easier to sharpen the pegs as one piece than to break it in half first and sharpen each individual piece. Alright, let's get that handle inside and put some holes in there. We're going to use a drill bit roughly the size of our pegs to put 2 holes in the handle. Now let's cut the pegs in half and do a quick test fit on the handle. Once everything looks good, we'll drill a hole in the center to fit our rod into. Make sure that you keep your hands safe while you're doing this. Get everything cleaned out and make sure it lines up. Once everything lines up, we're going to go ahead and start gluing. Get yourself a generous glob of glue and go ahead and put it right in the center hole right on top. Next, take your rod fitting and stuff it down that hole. Once it's securely fastened, you can go ahead and start gluing the pegs in place. I'm stealing a little bit of glue from the top here. One twist, and that peg is tightly fastened. Same with the other peg. Get the pegs nice and tight, and you're good to move on to the next step. We're going to go ahead and set that aside to dry while we make ourselves some eyelets. For this, you'll need a piece of wire about 5 inches long, and there's 2 different methods to do this. I'll run through each of them briefly. The first is to wrap the wire around half of your pliers and give it a nice tight tug. That'll give you a little half eyelet that looks a little bit like this. It works, and it gets the job done, but the other method is a bit more pretty. With the second method, you're going to wrap the wire around the tip of a second pair of needle nose pliers. Give it a few wraps, a tight pull, and you get an eyelet that's a bit more round and looks a little bit more professional. Next, you can use tape or string, whatever you have handy, to secure those eyelets to the rod. I do a little test to make sure that everything lines up right, and we're good to go. Run the line through the eyelets and tie it off to the bottom peg. That'll give you a nice secure anchor point for your line, and you shouldn't be losing any fish anytime soon, even if the rod breaks. Next, we can do a little test to make sure that everything looks good and get to reeling. Crank a little bit of line on there and you're good to get fishing. The operation of this rod is pretty simple. You pull the line off, let the jig drop down through your hole, and to reel back up, you just wind it back around the pegs. I hope you guys enjoyed this video today. As always, if you learned something, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button, and feel free to leave a comment if you have any questions about this specific design or anything that we do here on the channel. As always, it's been a great time, and I'll see you guys on the next adventure.